I've sort of had to pretend to be someone else to, go to social events.
Sometimes these thoughts can cause problems for me.
I know a lot of the families, their biggest concern is what's going to happen to them when I'm no longer here.
It's okay to be loud and proud about your child's diagnoses.
I've gotten more confident and I've gotten more smarter, and I've challenged myself.
There is such a thing as autistic joy, and now I have that.
Hello, I'm Natasha Verma. Welcome to Autism Life on the Spectrum. During the next half hour, we will take a look at autism spectrum disorder. ASD is a developmental disorder that impacts 1 in 36 children of all racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic groups. Getting an early diagnosis is key. As Duarte Geraldino shows us, new research is proving the benefits of early intervention.
So Finn, what is a sticky thought?
A sticky thought is something that gets stuck in your body over and 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 over again.
At 9 years old, Finn can describe what used to overwhelm him. His mom, Tara Stutzman, remembers how painful those early years were.
I would hold him and he would just bite my shoulder. And I thought he was mad, and so my shoulders were purple. But what I've come to realize is that was sensory for him. He wasn't able to express himself, and the only way he could do that was through like biting or maybe a pinch or something like that when he was frustrated.
Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects how the brain processes social interactions, communication, and experiences.
I kind of like to think about autism spectrum disorder as more as autisms. We have lots of different variations and profiles of autism. You can see patterns in different groups of individuals, but how autism really presents and manifests in one individual is going to be very different from how you see it in another one.
Dr. Cynthia Martin has worked with Finn since 2020 at the Child Mind Institute. That's where she leads the Autism Center. Using cognitive behavioral therapy, she's helping him recognize unhelpful thought patterns and develop strategies to manage his emotions. Finn was lucky to get early intervention, but for many families, those crucial early years are spent waiting, sometimes up to 3 years for testing.
Well, I think 3 years is too long. So 3 years means that we are missing a critical window in development.
A new FDA-approved test could help. Developed at the Marcus Autism Institute, it tracks eye movements 120 times per second while children watch videos. This enables doctors to track what catches a child's focus.
When we see the way that typically developing children look at, say, other toddlers playing or interacting, they spend most of their time looking at the same place at the same time.
The eye tracking test is a starting point, but kids who screen positive, they still need full evaluations to determine which therapies can help them thrive. Sticky thoughts, they still creep in, and sometimes they take over. But Finn has something now he didn't before: tools to work through them, a voice to express them, and the confidence to move past them. How do you get calm? How do you deal with the sticky world?
How do I get calm? I ask for a break. I ask to take a bath. I ask to play something calm.
It's not just toddlers and young children who are getting newly diagnosed with autism. Now more than ever, adults are as well. A study published last year in JAMA Network Open showed a 452% increase in autism diagnoses among adults ages 26 to 34 from 2011 to 2022. As Linda Schmidt shows us, finding someone to make that diagnosis is not always easy.
Make such good friends, yes you do. Simple moments of joy, something most of us take for granted. But for Emma, this was a lifetime in the making.
It felt like I was an alien in a world where I didn't fit in. As a child, it was a nightmare.
Childhood pictures show Emma's sadness and inner torment.
By age 8, I never smiled. My parents were like, she doesn't smile, she doesn't make friends, she has no friends in school.
Daily life was a constant struggle.
If I went to brush my teeth and the water ran down my sleeve, I was so freaked out by that. Like, that sensory situation would cause a meltdown. I could not manage that.
I was just sort of on the internet playing video games and stuff. Especially in high school, I was pretty isolated, just stayed in my room.
Nicole says she always knew she was different, but she could not articulate why or understand her discomfort. She reached a crisis as a grad student at NYU.
I've sort of had to pretend to be someone else to, go to social events. A lot of my cohort, they would, go to bars and stuff after class, and I'd sort of force myself to go, even though I was just like it was just unbearably uncomfortable the whole time. It was super overwhelming, so I ended up kind of crashing.
Now, Nicole at 27 years old and Emma at 59 finally know exactly who they are and understand their behavior and feelings. They are among a growing number of adults who are being diagnosed as autistic.
That answers, I would imagine, so many questions for you.
Absolutely. I could really, really love myself for the first time, and that was huge.
I feel like getting an autism diagnosis was like one of the best things that happened for me, at least in terms of understanding myself and connecting with the community.
There's definitely an increase in adults seeking autism evaluations.
Dr. Michelle Gorenstein is a clinical psychologist. Her practice specializes in autism. She says the number of young adults seeking a diagnosis has skyrocketed.
There was a research study actually done that was published in the Journal of American Medical Association in 2024 that showed a 400% increase in young adults seeking a diagnosis over a 10-year period.
And many are parents.
I've definitely seen a lot of parents coming in whose child got diagnosed, and now they're thinking, well, I had those symptoms too when I was younger, and are now seeking a diagnosis for themselves.
Dr. Gorenstein is also seeing a lot more women seeking a diagnosis. Young girls oftentimes may go undiagnosed because they learn to mimic the people around them.
We call it like camouflaging or masking, and they kind of do these things even though internally they might be really struggling.
Nicole created the nonprofit Autistic Adults NYC, providing social programs. She says membership has exploded. There are about 600 active members in the tri-state.
They've finally found a place where they can feel comfortable making friends.
How does that make you feel?
It feels great.
Emma has also started a nonprofit. Not only is Emma a playwright and a poet, but also a certified coach, helping people who are diagnosed with autism and ADHD.
It has really helped me feel like a valuable member of the world. There is such a thing as autistic joy, and now I have that.
Coming up, what happens when school services end?
I am happy with my life. I hope that by then I will have my own condo, my own job, and I can live independently.
How transition programs are helping some people live a more independent life.
I've made friends that I didn't think that I would.
When the special Autism Life on the Spectrum returns. Welcome back. Transitioning from school to adult services is such a scary time that many people call it falling off the cliff. Sharon Crowley shows us how residential transition programs can help prepare some individuals for whatever comes next.
In this area, we have the kitchen. This is where we cook our meals. And this is where we have life skills.
For the first time in his life, 33-year-old Rudy Van Gogh is learning how to live on his own.
What do you like to make for dinner?
My most favorite meal for dinner is pizza.
Rudy has a photographic memory and is fluent in English and French. He's also autistic.
This is my typical weekly menu plan for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every week.
Rudy is one of 80 adult residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities who live here at Chapel Haven Schleifer Center in New Haven, Connecticut.
We do our daily chores, which consist of cleaning the kitchen and cleaning the living room. And we use the vacuum and mop to do that.
Back in 1972, two families trying to help their own adult children with special needs live more independently started the center. Tuition is comparable to that of a traditional college, costing between $50,000 and $80,000 annually. Here, adults learn life skills.
Proper communication leads to better safety.
And there's something else even more valuable.
I've made friends that I didn't think that I would. I've grown as a person. I've had people, both staff here as well as my family at home, tell me just how much I've improved. They occasionally do things like game nights. We occasionally do things. We have a D&D group, actually.
23-year-old Dason Avery says he has Asperger's and ADHD.
Honestly, it feels a lot better than I used to, because I used to just kind of spend all my time by myself.
Residents also learn how to hold down a part-time job with help from many employers in this community.
We teach people how to live independently, how to manage an apartment. If a goal is to go to college, we have supports for that, and of course how to gain employment. And really what our adults come here for is to have their own independent adult life.
Catherine Sullivan DiCarlo is Vice President of Admissions and Marketing.
This is like their college, and they want to be going away just like the brother or sister went off to college, and Chapel Haven is that place for them.
One of the things that makes this program so unique is that once an adult decides to leave here and maybe go live independently on their own, they're still eligible for a few hours of services every week, and they can be part of this community for life.
I know a lot of the families, their biggest concern is what's going to happen to them when I'm no longer here, who's going to take care of them when I'm no longer here. And a big part of this program, or Chapel Haven, is, they'll have that support system for the rest of their lives, whether it's the 2 hours per week or whether it's just a check-in every once in a while, but they have their community here, they have their home.
Brittany Nadeau is a supervisor. She says adults who come here have to want to be here.
They have to be motivated to be independent. They have to want to live on their own.
These are the schedules of our daily chores that we have to follow.
Oh, okay. So what? Oh, I see Rudy. There's your name.
What Chapel Haven has allowed him to do is to break through the shell and come to life.
Ramesh Vangel is Rudy's father.
I'm beginning to get a sense that a year or two more, this young chap is going to come forward and not only be someone who needs to be supported, but contribute to society.
And what does Rudy think?
I am happy with my life here at Chapel Haven, and by the time I graduate next year in 2026, which is 1.5 years from now, I hope that by then I will have my own condo, my own job, and I can live independently.
And it's pretty obvious, everyone here is rooting for Rudy's success too.
In conclusion, I love Chapel Haven and I love everybody here, especially my friends.
Still ahead, empowered by employment.
I feel happy and proud and accomplished.
Local businesses hiring autistic workers, merging passion, pride, and profits.
Our success is because of our neurodiverse team, not in spite of them.
For autistic adults, it can be challenging to find employment opportunities that fit their individual needs. But as our Jody Goldberg shows us, some local vocational programs are helping people on the spectrum find jobs while providing an inclusive and educational environment.
Life skill lessons are learned inside the Nicholas Center.
We service young adults with autism.
The nonprofit opened its doors in 2011. Nicole Ferrara and Stella Spinacos were in search of a safe place where their sons and others with developmental disabilities could go and grow after graduating high school. The Chocolate Lab is their newest and most delicious mission.
We're working on marketing, merchandising, communication, socialization.
It started as a vocational program and molded into a business that offers job training to help foster employment.
My favorite part about doing it is making up small cookies. I like graham crackers the best.
Port Provides is another community-based program where more than 50 adults from the Nicholas Center take part in an assembly line of love to help neighbors in need. Each week they bag and bring items to food pantries and help thousands of people in the community.
You know, studies suggest up to 85% of people with autism are unemployed, highlighting a need for job opportunities and programs.
One of the biggest things I learned here was how to control my anxiety and stuff like that. I learned how to work with others very well.
The training helped Robert Valley land a job just down the street at Spectrum Designs, a custom apparel and promotional products business founded by Nicole and Stella, as well as Patrick Bardsley.
Have you got something that you're setting up? Our success is because of our neurodiverse team, not in spite of them.
Spectrum Designs offers internships and hires motivated young adults from the Nicholas Center as a way to create jobs for people on the spectrum.
What's amazing is that we engage people on the spectrum in really all aspects of production, from the design and the sourcing to the production to everything in between, the shipping. So it's great.
What's also great is more than half of its staff are on the spectrum. Kelly Fisher calls Spectrum Designs her second home.
When I'm here, I feel happy and proud and accomplished. Everyone here just fits in.
That was our #1 priority, creating an environment where they can live, be happy, and flourish.
There's something for everyone, no matter where on the spectrum they fall.
Next, navigating autism spectrum disorder in the social media age.
If this post that opens me up in a vulnerable way helps just one person.
How influencers are sharing their personal autism journeys.
It makes me feel good and proud inside.
They are the faces and stories of autism that you see every day on social media. Antoine Lewis with how famous influencers are using their platforms to spread a positive message about life on the spectrum.
Have you ever been on a date before?
No, I haven't.
I've never been on a date before either.
One of the hottest shows on Netflix is Love on the Spectrum, a reality series that follows people with autism as they navigate the dating world. But for 27-year-old Tanner Smith, this is a chance to represent.
Because you don't usually see people with disabilities on TV. You usually see people without disabilities on TV.
The show and Tanner's Instagram posts are challenging societal views of people with autism as the platforms to influence traditional thinking continue to be embraced by autism advocates.
The hardest parts were being isolated with this somewhat scary, new, heavy thing. And so by sharing, it brought people to me.
For Kate Swinson, social media became her way to build a community.
And I was just being honest. I was just saying I'm scared and I'm worried and this is hard sometimes.
Swinson created the website Finding Cooper's Voice to chronicle her family's journey, but more importantly, to speak for her son who's nonverbal, diagnosed with autism at 3 years old. Her Facebook page has more than 1 million followers, nearly 300,000 on Instagram. And now on bookshelves is Autism Out Loud, written by Swinson and 2 other mothers of autistic children. What Swinson has found are others, ready to hear what Cooper himself cannot say.
Cooper isn't able to advocate for himself. He has a disability where he can't speak, he can't share, he can't tell his story.
Okay, but before we go sliding, can you tell me your name? Ollie?
For pediatrician Dr. Tommy Martin, TikTok has been his primary go-to with more than 2 million followers and counting, as he shares life as the father of 5-year-old Ollie.
And the struggles that he faces in terms of him needing physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and all of these things that he's going through to let people know that, one, it's okay to be loud and proud about your child's diagnoses.
Martin's posts routinely go viral.
And so if we have access to billions of people just by access to the phone in the palm of our hand, it should be a requirement that all medical professionals are advocating.
That said, life as a social media influencer can be a two-sided coin.
I get criticized 100 times a day, from my hair to the way my kids look to what I feed them.
There's going to be negativity that comes, whether it be in the comments or direct messages. And to me, I just approach it all with kindness and love.
And I've had to develop pretty thick skin, I always think if I help just one person, like if this post that opens me up in a vulnerable way helps just one person.
Or helps just one person discover something new about themselves.
I've gotten more confident and I've gotten more smarter, and I've challenged myself. It makes me feel good and proud inside.
And isn't that what we all want? Our understanding of autism is constantly evolving. From innovation to inspiration, life on the spectrum is about understanding and embracing those around you, no matter who they are. Until next time, I'm Natasha Verma.